Hello everybody, welcome back to Spectral Division. It's me, Spectral, Adrian, whatever the flip we want to call me. And I have been obsessed with Elden Ring. Um, yeah, I thought I would just do a quick video just going over my thoughts on the game so far and how I'm enjoying it, go through some of the mechanics and that there. Just gush about it more or less. It's not really a rant type of thing, but I thought I would try this out. I'm doing a bit of a new thing with my setup and my video and that there. So you're getting the better camera being my phone camera. I will need to keep thinking about words. You're gonna see a lot of him and has from me, but that's usual. I'm also trying to actually look at the camera itself, which is here, and not. Wait. Yeah, there. The camera's there. Where whenever I'm looking like off center because I'm looking at myself in the phone, which I'm gonna try not to do as best I can, but I probably will because that's how we do things here. Also, hope you don't mind the fact I'm just staring directly into everybody's souls this whole time. But anyway, here we go. We're going to get into this. So Elden Ring. It's been out for a good few weeks now, and I picked it up a while ago after getting a bit obsessed with Souls games when I played through Bloodborne. Played through Bloodborne just before we got into Elden Ring, but Elden Ring has been such a blast to play. And I really think people need to make more games like this, or not people. AAA developers lately have had this thing where a game just needs to be massive. You just need to have a massive fucking map. You need to have an unrealistic sort of like scope for the game where you just make a really big world. That's all you gotta do. You plop down useless side content in it. You put fuck if I could speak. You put excessive side content in it, such as mini quests where you just go on and fetch different items. You have your 20 million bandit camps, your watchtowers. Thanks Ubisoft again. And I haven't really seen a game that like delves into just having everything be worthwhile like Elden Ring does. And this isn't to say that there isn't like repetition within the game. Like it's not like every enemy's unique or every boss is unique. You are going to get some of the same enemy types. You're going to get a lot of the same archetypes. But that is just sort of the nature of the game. But what the game does really, really well is makes the side content worthwhile. If you're going into a dungeon, you're not getting the same dungeon every time. There's always something unique about it, whether that's the enemies within it, the puzzles you have to complete, or just some other really cool gimmick. I really like that about the game. It's really, really fun, and it really keeps the engagement through the whole game. You can't see in the gameplay behind me, I am in Keylid, which is sort of a mid-game area, and getting absolutely destroyed by that dog behind me, but you know, that is what it is. And I feel this game just does everything well. So, enough random gushing, let's go over the actual good points of the game, which I really like. So the first thing I think we'll go over really quickly is the gameplay, specifically the combat. So the combat in this game is very, very Souls-like. It's very much following that same formula. If you've ever played a Souls game, if you've played Dark Souls, Demon Souls, or Bloodborne, you'll get the crack. Your character moves in a similar way. Navigation is the same. A lot of the weapon types and with different things you do with your weapons are largely the same. Maybe apart from Bloodborne, because Bloodborne has a very unique system with the weapons. But you do have that sort of basis of your whole point of gameplay within the game is to level up, get stronger, unlock good moves, and just explore to your heart's content. I really, really love it. It's really, really fun. It's very much a refinement of other Souls games and other games in general. You have your different combos. You have your light attacks, your heavy attacks. If you're dual wielding, you can have power stancing. If you're using the same type of weapons, if you're not using the same type of weapons, you're going to have, you can use the light attacks of one weapon and the other attacks of another weapon. If you two-hand a weapon, you can two-hand all the weapons in the game. And the two-handing is also really good because you still get that same, you get a whole other move set with that. It's just really, really cool. There's a load of depth within that, and that's really lent in well with the leveling system as well, where a lot of games nowadays they'll give you your different weapons and they'll do whatever they do. They're more or less just different movesets. There's different benefits to using weapons in Elden Ring. You'll have a completely different playstyle when you use katanas like I do compared to if you're a magic caster, or if you are using big heavy axe and going for a strength build. Those are going to be very different things to what another player is using. Obviously, there's the meta way to go. There's OP stuff within that, but it is all really interesting that you could just have so many different playstyles and so much freedom within that. A lot of other games couldn't do that and wouldn't do that. You're just sort of the same the same breed of a different sort of thing. Especially I've noticed in like a recent Assassin's Creed, you can use a load of different weapons. You can use different spears, you can use axes, you can use swords, um, and all of that. But like, no matter what way you spec yourself, you're still going to be one of like three main components. Whether you're stealth, melee, or oh dear God, that's a burp. Whether you're stealth, melee, or an archer type, ranged, you're going to get the same experience every time. Um, and that's, Elden Ring doesn't do that. You get this really good sense of like scoping out your build and being able to try new things, which I really appreciate about this game, how much it gives you to just make your own type of character. I really enjoy that. Like, personally, myself, you can see it in the background, I went for the samurai class and I used dual katanas, and it's so good because I know what I have to go into for that, being usually dexterity and intelligence to work with my Moonveil katana, as well as then I have my side katana, which scales the same way, and I really like that aspect of it as well. Just not, you don't just have to dump points into a thing and you therefore get stronger. Specific weapons scale with specific level ups. So if I level up strength, dexterity, intelligence, arcane, or faith, however high I am in each of those relevant categories will work the same with a scaling on a weapon. So I can use strength weapons really good if I have a high strength stat. Where I can still use that weapon with a high dex stat, assuming I have the necessary requirement. I can still use that with a dex, use that strength weapon with a dex class, but it's not going to be as strong as if I was a strength build using a strength weapon. Same way as I use a dex build with the dex weapons. But you get a lot of stuff within that, because having that dexterity intelligence build, if I flip that to be an intelligence dex build where I prioritize intelligence over my dexterity, I would basically just be a magic caster, and I really like that aspect of it as well. Magic also has different sets within it. You have arcane, you have faith, and you have intelligence, which are all different stats relating to like magic in the game, as well as different other items and aspects of the game. But having that core sort of, you have those three for that. You have dex and strength, which are your two sort of melee things, and then you have your vigor, your endurance, and your mind, which is for your health, how much FP you use, which is like your focus or your magic, or basically all your special moves. All the moves you have are going to be special in some way, and having that work into it as well is really cool. So you sort of like go for this different thing. You have to choose whether you're going to go for a lot of your base stats of health, FP, or endurance, or you go the other way and you go right into like your different weapon arts, going for the weapons you want and upgrading those aspects, such as your dexterity, your strength, your intelligence, whatever that may be. I really like that way where you sort of focus in on that and you can like craft your character around that. It's really interesting. Another really good thing I like is like all the boss fights you can get into. There's so many boss fights, it's unbelievable. Or at least any boss that'll have the red bar up here beneath you. Or beneath your screen whenever you go to fight a boss. I just really think that's really cool how many of them there are. Definitely didn't see that the same in a Bloodborne. You have much more of a set path and set amount of bosses that you have, where in this game there's usually just bosses around every corner. I remember back in Limgrave, I was going through every fucking minute or two, whether I was in a dungeon or out in the world, you had a different boss, and that sort of naturally finding these different bosses is so good to me. There's some you're going to find really easily, such as the big massive dragon in Limgrave, or the tree sentinel that's right in front of you as soon as you get out the gate. But other bosses are quite hidden. You'll find them in different secluded areas. They'll be locked behind different quests. You'll have to go into dungeons to find them. And there's just a lot of really interesting encounters to be had. And as I say, a lot of these bosses are unique. They all have their own sort of like unique gimmicks, especially as you go through the game. If you're going to go and explore, you're gonna encounter at least one of every type of boss, basically. I would like to hope anyway. Whether that be the Stone Dagger Trolls you can find in caves, the Magma Worms, fuck you Magma Worms, the Guardian Watchdogs that just looks like a humanoid cat with the sword, or that be any of the major bosses that you'll go into encounter. And I believe there's 5 or 6 major bosses. At this point, I've defeated 3 of those. I have defeated Godric the Grafted, as well as Margit. If you count Margit, he's probably your like first mainline boss or necessary boss technically, even though he isn't really necessary, but he is framed that way. So you have like Godric, you have Renala, and you have Radahn, which are 3 of the major bosses to defeat, and they're all such unique fights. Godric, in a similar way to Margit, is just very, very. He's got loads of different hands. You have to watch where you're attacking. You have to go like these different ways. It's very much like an essential Soulsborne experience. Very, very core to what a Soulsborne game usually has. Going from that, then you get Renala, which it reminds me a lot of Rom the Vacuous Spider fight in Bloodborne. Would be my best comparison, just because the second phases of the fight is on a leg, but it's very much where in the first half you can't directly attack her until you defeat specific minions that she has, and then once you defeat a certain amount of minions, she's then down. You have to go and attack her to bring her down her health. Going into the second phase, she attacks more directly and uses different spells and stuff, and it's really hard. You have to just be really, really aggressive in these fights to actually succeed. Which is a big dichotomy from where in Godric's fight you went in and out. You didn't have to be completely on his horse the entire time. And then we have Radahn, which is a completely separate experience from that, which is really, really cool, where like you're not really meant to just directly go up and fight him. You can do that, but you're not meant to. At least with what the game, the stuff the game gives you and what it shows you can do. You basically can get in your horse, you go and you summon loads of different NPCs throughout the fight, which these games don't usually allow you to do. You have like 6 or 7 NPCs all just blasting away at him while you're going around resummoning them, picking him off as you can, and it's just such a fun fight. He's like this big massive guy on this little tiny horse and he just scoots across the battlefield. It's really, really cool. The whole build up to that fight too is very, very interesting and very, very intense, and I really, really like it. It's just, it gives you, you get such a varied experience with each boss that you have, and that goes for those main bosses as well so a lot of the sub bosses. They each have sort of a unique thing with them, and it's really cool. Even like, as I say, you will encounter multiple watchdogs. For instance, if you're in the catacombs, you'll have multiple of them, but there'll be different gimmicks to those fights. So one of them will be, the first one's going to be him on his own, and you just have to defeat him. That's fine. The next one, you'll have a lot of the dungeon's mini enemies, like the imps or the skeletons, and you'll have to fight them off as well as the boss. In another one, you'll have 2 bosses. In different ones, you'll have. There's this one that was really interesting. It was very much like the Witches of Hemwick, the Witches of Hemwick in Bloodborne, where you have, it's a Spear College Snail, I believe it was called, and it was really, really funny because like I had seen it before on a TikTok, which made the fight a little bit. I didn't have to work out the gimmick after I knew the name or recognized the name, but like you have like a spirit appears in front of you, and you think that's the boss, but you start fighting him and his health doesn't disappear, and you're like, what the fuck's going on here? But there's really like the snail's invisible somewhere else in the field, and he like has a faint glow, so you have to look for the faint glow in the world, and that's how you're gonna find the place or find the actual enemy, and he is the enemy that you have to then defeat. While you have that knight chasing after you as well. So I really like those fights. I think the fights are really interesting. It really keeps you engaged. All the standard enemies are really interesting too. You have a lot of variation. You have a lot of different types. Some are dedicated to certain areas, but they all are all very, very interesting, and very, very fun to defeat. But I think that leads quite well into the next topic, which is so the world in Elden Ring. The world is, it's beautiful, it's amazing, I love it so much. To keep it sort of with the gameplay aspect, having Torrent, your horse that sort of like you can roam about with, is really, really cool. In the fact that like he's not just there to get you to a place quicker or just follow a road. He's an active exploring tool. You can double jump with him. You can go across rivers of rots or poison or whatever, and you don't actually take damage where usually you would take damage. That was not planned with the screen. It just worked out that way, but that's great. So you allows your horse to like take in specific areas, and you really get a lot of freedom with Torrent and being able to explore different zones, which is really, really cool. Going with that, the way the world like guides you is really, really interesting. So whenever you start off in the game and you come out of the big front gates, you're gonna see Stormville Castle ahead of you, which is like your first main objective. You take Stormville Castle or fight through Stormville Castle. Um, Obviously, that's not gonna be the first thing you do unless you're an absolute mad lad, but you can do it if you want to, and it gives you that choice, which is great. You also have like the church in front of you, which is like gonna be your first main grace point, which you'll go to. It shows you these different landmarks through the world, which look amazing. The whole game just looks amazing. As well as like you also see the Erd tree right from the start. You know, the big golden tree, which is like where you're meant to go in the game. That's like you get to the foot of the Erd tree to become the Elden Lord. That's a big part of the game as well. So like all these really interesting landmarks and stuff are none of them are like skyboxes or set dressing. They're all tangible areas to go to, and tangible areas that are probably going to have something really cool with them or something to do with the story. And I really, really like that. I really like that way where the world just guides you to these places. If you see something interesting in the world, go to that area. That's gonna be you're gonna get rewarded in some way for it. Just exploring these really cool areas. You know, if you there's underground areas of the game, and in certain underground areas that you go into, I'll try to keep this spoilerish free. Obviously I've talked about bosses, but what can you do, bye? As you go to these different underground areas, you're gonna be like going around the elevator, and you'll see out in front of you this like really beautiful landscape, and it's that moment where it's like the game really makes you want to just sit and look at it for a while. Very, very few games evoke that sense of like, oh my god, this is really, really cool looking. This is just in a really amazing looking world. Some of the ones that did do that for me was Red Dead Redemption 2 did that for me a lot. Going up onto high vistas and just looking over the world in front of you, and just having a lot of aesthetic beauty. Ghost of Tsushima is another one that does this very well, and I really like that where like you can always sort of see your main objective or the next place that you need to go to, and I really like that as you traverse through the world. There's nothing that's like gonna be overly confusing in the sense of like I have no clue where to go now. If you don't know where to go to the big thing in the distance. That's gonna be your best bet. And I really like that. I just think that's such an interesting way to do game design that we don't see nearly enough. You do get a map in this game, but you don't get a mini map. You don't get anything like that. Anything you find in the world, you just have to discover it. And I really love that. I think it's just amazing. It's just everything about the game aesthetically, within the world is phenomenal. But I think that'll lead into a bit of a mini topic I have, which is the character design and just sort of aesthetic of the world. I don't really know what way I'm putting this as a title, but I'll go with the aesthetic. This is about the aesthetic. And this game is, I've said this so many times, this game is sheer vibes. The vibes in this game are immaculate. And that goes for the world design itself. All these different areas that are very, very unique. Limgrave is different from Caelid. Caelid is different from Red Caria. That's different from the capital. It's different from the mountains. It all has a very, very distinct aesthetic to it, and I love it every time. You have these big soaring trees. You have all these different enemies, which all just really look cool. Like even your normal guards look really interesting. You have your normal guards, you have your different bats, you have all the enemy variety in that. The things you find out in the crypts are really cool. All the different like underground areas, they're all extremely unique with different enemies, different architecture, different designs. It's very much a very cool medieval sort of aspect to it. My phone's on 10%, fuck. But yeah, there's like a real sense of just the aesthetic they were going for in this game that just comes off so well, and I love it. I love every bit of it. Okay, so the only other sort of like topic I wanted to discuss from my very, very minimal topic list that I did out was the story of the game, so I think we'll just go over that now. So the story of this game works a lot in other Souls games where it's, for a large part of it, there's a lot of really cool hidden little things. If you go out and explore this world, you're gonna see loads of different lore. There's so much lore and backstory to characters, reasons for why this world is, both in the world and through items that you find. It's just so cool and so interesting. You're gonna get so much from this game if you just explore and try to learn why things are the way they are. different quests tie into other quests. None of the quests are like a quest line per se, or a lot of games do that as well, or have markers everywhere. This game just goes off the fact of like, a character told you information. Do with that information what you will, but you're not gonna know to do it or not unless you just go and do it. You know, it's not like you're gonna always have a different pointer in your map telling you where to go or what to do at any given moment. You always have to figure it out yourself, and I really like that as well. But like, obviously, you go into the game, you're given your brief part of backstory of what's happening, and you're told to go fight bosses and do shit, which is fine, and that works at its own level. But if you go and explore different quests, you can, you know, get different endings and all of that there, and it really expounds on why things are the way they are in the world. You can see why Godric the Grafted is Godric the Grafted, why his place is like it is as it is, why you have tarnished hunters. If you go into the crypts and stuff, you'll know why things don't die in this world. You'll know why different, like why Caelid is red and disgusting and rotted. You'll know why what Relicaria is. What it is a magic school. It's a Hogwarts type of place, but it's you'll get the reason of why that is and where they stand in comparison to the Golden Order and what the Golden Order is. And there's just so much different lore within it, and I love the lore in these games. The Bloodborne lore, I swear, I watched so many Vatividia's videos. Try to say that 10 times fast, because I'm not going to. But like, I watched all of his videos. I'm like, he had this really good way of explaining the lore. But all that lore is in the game. If you want to look at it, you can see that lore and you can make your own conclusions. And I really love that. Where like, it's not going to bombard you with the story. This isn't a very linear game. It's not a very story heavy game, but it is a very story heavy game. And I just really think that's interesting as well. I think there's so much about Elden Ring that is just everything I've wanted in a game for a long time. And I have been completely obsessed with it, so that's why I wanted to make this video and just put it out there. It is, a lot of it is just the classic Spectral Division rambling on about shit, but it's just it's so fun, it's so good. I don't really have a concise way of explaining my love for this game, but I just love it. I love everything about it. There's nothing about this game that I don't like. It's a game where I can also get very infuriated with it in terms of like, but it's not the game I'm infuriated with. It's me I'm infuriated with, and my inability to like get good, as they say. I do understand what this get good mentality is now, because it really is. It's just, you have to get good at these games. You have to learn combos. You have to know how different things work. You need to know if you need to level up, or when you need to level up, if you should go off and level up, or if you should just, you know, you just need to get better at fighting an enemy. It's just everything about it. It's just such a full experience that we haven't had in so long, and more games should be like Elden Ring. And that's where I'll leave us. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and leave me a comment if there's anything that you love about Elden Ring or anything you would like me to discuss, because I'm happy to do so. I do also read all the comments. I do respond to them all. So leaving one is always beneficial. You can hear my thoughts, or if there's something I didn't answer here, you know, ask me that. That's great. Also subscribe if you want to see more videos like this and loads of different other videos that I do. My content is a bit sporadic at the moment as I try to sort of find my footing, which I've been trying to do for the last maybe 2 years, but we're getting there. But anyway, guys, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. So peace out.